So Cathie would unironically does does not understand how investing works. And I will show you here in about 5 minutes.
Is rife right now. Your stock picking prowess, as I said, your research, which you are defending multiple times here. I'm wondering what you make of the criticism. Whether you think it's gotten too personal, the fact that there is literally now an ETF betting against you. What do you make of that?
Well, I find that very interesting, especially the last. When you think about it, it's simply a call. Well, they're shorting innovation, and that seems to me over time that's not going to be a business. If you ask,
All right, clue one. She has no idea what she's talking about, which sounds insane because she manages billions of dollars, right? She takes billions of dollars. She doesn't. I guess she manages it sort of, but um, you're not when you're investing, you're not buying innovation or shorting innovation. There is what the company will produce or what the stock price will be in the future and the price it is right now. And your return is positive if that's greater or negative if it's not. So, a great example would be airlines. We have planes that can zip you around to the other side of the globe in, I think, what, like 10 hours now or something? Like, well, sorry, across like the US, be like 10 hours. And that's a great innovation because that take you forever to do by car. Anyway, uh, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily a good investment, right? Just doesn't matter how innovative it is. If a company came out with a cancer curing pill that costs $10 for you to buy, but it costs them $50 to make each pill, then that would not, it'd be a very innovative company, but it wouldn't be a good investment. So not once have I heard her talk about investing in that sense. It's all about, you know, how innovative it is. So she goes on to say that this inverse ETF doesn't do any research, which probably it doesn't because it doesn't have to. It's kind of a it's kind of a meme at this point. Um, uh, you can run a fund and not have your money invested in that fund. It happens all the time. You just create a product, and as long as people are putting money into it, you're collecting the fee, and that's all you care about. You don't have to actually put your money into it. So no, they don't have to do any research. However, there could be some solid research saying that because innovation is such a hot word and it just kind of clicks in our brains when we think of investing from a very lizard brain perspective, that'd be a good idea. It's like, oh, it's innovative, therefore it's a good investment, right? But that's not necessarily the case. So there could be research out there saying that because of that, people will bid up the prices and it might be a good short over the long term. But
if you ask me, consider the source. But they're also not doing any research. They're simply shorting innovation. If they were doing research and could point us to reasons why what we have included in our portfolio is not going to participate in the new world order, then we might have a conversation about
the
it. But
new
the
world
idea of
order.
shorting innovation in America is ridiculous, I think. But here's what I do know. Here's what I do know. When I see, and this is investor psychology, when I see people so sure that we are wrong and that they are willing to set up companies simply to short innovation and to set up.
Again, it doesn't matter the Turtle Capital, whoever made that ETF, they're doing it not because they care about the return of the fund. They know that people will buy it. The same reason stupid people will buy ARC, even though she publishes her weightings the next day, and you could mimic the exact same thing
Of
she's doing if you
funds to
wanted to.
short innovation. You know that investor psychology, the pendulum, has swung so far in one direction
In
that if we're right, if we're
but
right, if we're right,
It doesn't so it doesn't matter if she's wrong or right. Because again, she doesn't understand. Like the companies can end up doing very well, and all we're going to use for TV is Roku, or all we're going to use for healthcare is Teladoc. But at the end of the day, if the companies aren't profitable, it's not a good investment. If you don't buy it at the correct price, it's still not a good investment.
then the rewards are going to be
I don't
enormous.
know how else to say it. They're not shorting innovation. They're shorting you.
that's that was kind of that's a weird thing for him to say. What do I think of that? They're not shorting innovation, they're shorting you. I mean, they're just shorting the companies. People look way too much into this. It's so easy to just set up a fund and then slap a fee on it, and then who cares what the fund does, right? They're going way too deep into this.
Well, we stand for innovation. You know, if it's an interesting, another interesting idea that surfaces as you say that. Uh, I again was in the bubble, but I was in the markets in the 80s and 90s. And where did investors go to access?
So, I mean, when you're on CNBC or something like this, you have an amazing opportunity to articulate something like profound, right, to an audience who cares about what you have to say and will could benefit from your product, right? And she just goes off and says, "Oh yeah, well, I'm older than you, and I was investing in the 80s and the 90s, and what happened back then is like, no, like stop talking. What happened in the 80s and 90s has nothing to do with how you're performing right now or your stock picks right now." So I think she's just kind of at a loss for words at the
Exposure
moment.
to innovation. They went to the Nasdaq, and you know I'm looking, and we're benchmark agnostic. Our goal is to deliver a minimum of 15% compound annual rate of return over a 5-year period. So we're
So a 5-year period is not a long enough time. That doesn't. Why would you set up a growth ETF and then expect 15% over a 5-year period when she just used the same time period? Think about like 2000 to 2010, where companies like this were flat or went out completely out of business. You're definitely not getting that 15% a year.
benchmark agnostic, and until recently, I just didn't know how the Nasdaq had evolved. So if I look at the Nasdaq 100, what do I see? I'm shocked to see in there. If you look at the overlap with our portfolios, and not just the flagship, I'm talking about all of our portfolios, the specialized ones, only 25% in the NASDAQ 100. The top 50% are the FANGs, Tesla,
I don't even know what she's going on about right now.
NVIDIA, Microsoft,
She's
roughly.
like, well, we're not the same as the index, so what?
That's very rough. And that's why you see so many top 10 portfolios, top 10 stocks in portfolios out there to be those. And then if you look further, you see food stocks. Like this is not the Nasdaq
Tattoo chair.
I grew up with. You see like Kraft Heinz or Pepsi. You see Old Dominion in trucking. You see a CSX in rail. You see Dollar Tree and other dollar stores. You see a lot of bricks and mortar retail. And now it's that ilk of stock is roughly 10%. So what's left is what we would call either companies going to be disrupted by innovation or they're involved in sustained innovation. So this is not the true innovation index anymore.
I guess I could see what she was trying to get onto there, but yeah, again, she's like they're shorting you, and she's like, well, I'm actually pure innovation, and then again, just completely disregarding the fact that that's just not how investing works. It doesn't matter how innovative your company is, price you buy, what it produces, that's your return right there. But that can be flipped. So a lot of people will pay a lot for something that might not end up making a lot of money, but might be super cool, and now your return's negative. I, it's really not that it's really not that complicated. But she likes to complicate things, just like everyone else in the industry likes to do, because the more they complicate it, the more likely you are to pay that 0.75% to them. So that's all I got. Peace.